Alright, I'm going to be doing a sound clip with the Works exhaust on my 2009 ZX6R. Already have the bike warmed up so the oil is all spread evenly through the engine. And then I'm going to be doing an oil change after this. Alright, I only went to 6,000 RPMs. It's really loud. I'm in a neighborhood here that'll piss everybody off. Alright, so oil's all warmed up. I'm going to be doing the oil change. I'm not going to remove that lower fairing there just because, fortunately, Kawasaki did a nice design. I don't know if you can see that, but there's the oil nut that's right there. Let me go on the other side. The oil nut is right there, and it'll spill a little bit on the fairings, but it's not worth taking the fairing off as it's really a quick job. A couple things to note. Alright, I'm going to be using this Castrol Power Racing RS 4T. It's a 10W40. Now the number in front of the W is just the temperature rating, so it goes down to 10 Celsius. I'm in California, so I don't need any lower temperature than that. Before this, I used the AMSOIL, and before that, I was using Mobil 1 Racing 4T. And I would like to try the Motul 300V, which my buddy in his BMW S1000RR uses. But you know what? These were cheap. I got them at O'Reilly for $7.99, and I heard really good things about them. So we'll see how it runs. Alright, I'm going to switch to GoPro now and do the oil change. Alright, so I'm going to start my oil change. The oil is ready to get changed. It's pretty dark. I haven't changed it. It's been about 4,000 miles. This is all the stuff I will be using. I'm going to have some quick dry oil stuff just in case I spill, since I'm doing it near the garage. Then I got my Castrol Power RS Racing 4T. Also got my K&N filter 303, which is for my 2009 ZX6R. Bike's already all warmed up, so the oil is nice and evenly spread throughout the engine. And alright, I got my oil pan. The first thing I'm going to do is release that bolt under there. So I'm going to go find a wrench that fits it, and then dump all the oil out. Alright, so I just put some gloves on just because it's nice when you get oil over your hands. It takes a while to clean off, especially with a really good oil that has a good adhesive. It'll stick to your hands more. Alright, so I already loosened this slightly. I don't know if you can see what I'm doing on my GoPro, but now keep in mind that usually you're putting about 3.5 liters, almost a gallon, which is 4 quarts into your oil pan. So make sure you have a reservoir that can hold that amount of volume. So my bike was warmed up, so it was gonna be a little hot. So I'm gonna try to loosen it, and then once it's fully loosened, get a grip on it, and then yank it off. So it is hitting my fairing a little bit right there, but that's an easy cleanup. Alright, you can see how dirty that oil is. So that's going to go for a little while. Alright, now I do like to also loosen the oil cap, which is on really hard. Just to let the air flow through it better. Okay. And when you're replacing the filter, if you're not replacing filter, you only need about 3 liters or 3 quarts. If you are going to be doing the filter as well, then you'll need a little bit more oil. And it's as easy as that. Just let it fully drain. And I'm going to tip the bike back and forth a little bit. Let it drain some more. First I'm going to clean my hands. This gets super easy with time. There's no reason to pay a mechanic to do it. Alright, so I'm gonna tip the bike. Okay, oil is out. At least most of it. And let it just drain for a little more. Now, one thing that I did see some people do before, it is nice that Kawasaki designed the oil plug like that, whereas on this R6 over here, you actually have to remove a lot of the fairing to get to the oil. However, the only one thing I'm not too stoked about is where the oil filter is. It's lodged right in there. And so when you put a new one in, the oil kind of tends to drip down all this, which is hard to clean and doesn't smell too good when your bike's running hot. So I've seen people use foil before and make a little thing to kind of stick in there to make the oil run out. So that's what I'm going to do right now as the oil keeps on draining. Alright, so the filter is the same size wrench as the oil pan cap, which is convenient. Now, I didn't have this on too tight. I don't use a torque wrench, but I can just feel when it's in right, because you don't want to strip the O-rings in here. That would be sucky. Alright, so let's see if this little tinfoil thing does anything good. See, it's still got oil. It's about to come out here. Alright, so that kind of failed. It's not, I gotta put it more under here. There we go. A little late now though, it's already dripped everywhere. But I guess it's better than nothing. I mean, it still dripped everywhere, which kind of sucks, but whatever. Alright, drop my hands out again. Okay. Oil is now dripping a little bit more again because I just released more pressure from the filter. Now I'm going to shake her back and forth a little bit. Just make sure it's all out. Then I'm going to clean up my mess and put down some of that oil dry stuff. Alright, so oil is still slowly dripping from the oil pan. It does take a little while to get it to drip fully. That's why you heat it up, is I get the most out. So that way when I put my new oil in, it'll be as clean as possible. So I'm gonna start wiping the underside of this fairing here to help slow the dripping. And then put pressure on there. And in the meantime, as it still continues to drip, it's kind of endless, I'm gonna set up my oil filter. A lot of people like to, even though it makes a mess, like to fill this up with oil, at least partially. So I'm gonna do that. So I'm gonna take some of this. I usually don't fill it up. I just put a little bit, and I also rub it around the O-ring. It keeps the bubbles out. Look at the color of that new oil, it's so nice. So I just put about that much, barely any. The bubbles will work themselves out if there are any. I've never had any. But you'll end up spilling it if you do fill it up, which is a pain. So now I just kind of rub it around the O-ring, like so. Then I take it. I took my foil out, just cleaned up that area a little bit. So the foil actually did help a little bit because it kept the oil from dripping on the inside and kind of made it spill over, I guess, on the outside, which will be easier to wash down. So this I'm just going to put in by hand, make sure there's no wires in the way. And just like that. And get it in as quick as possible. So I'm just going to tighten it by hand for now. There we go. Rinse it down now as I had oil on my finger. Just gonna rub it down like that. Turn it a little more. Honestly, these things don't need to be on that tight. I mean, you don't want it falling loose either, but I'll show you about how tight I go. So it's still relatively easy, still loose. Now it's getting a little tighter, and that is about it. That's as tight as I put it on. There's no need for it to go any tighter. That's it. Okay, good. So we got our oil filter in. Dripping seems to have ceased a little bit. Alright, so my GoPro camera died, and I'm taking a little cheesecake break. I'm on a 2-week diet, and this is what I've been eating.
Let's start the diet.
Alright, back to the motorcycle. Alright, so far I've been in it maybe about 10 to 15 minutes, not really that long at all. Kind of cleaned up my mess, put all the dry oil stuff down. It will drip endlessly, no matter what you do, so don't even worry about it. Now, put the filter on, emptied the oil. Now it's time to put the oil back into the bike. Don't forget to put your plug back in. I've seen people do that before, and it's kind of a bummer when you spend all that money on the oil and then it all just comes pouring out of your bike because you forget to do the most simple thing. So I got some oil, dry stuff in here. Don't want anything to get into your oil. Alright, so I'm putting that back on. And I'll tighten it later. I'm just going to put it on now as much as I can by hand. Okay, that's good enough. Alright, time to put the oil in. I should have enough. Alright, so I don't pour it fast or anything, I just go slow and easy. Take your time. Look how beautiful that color is. You could use a funnel. I never really need to. Already made a mess with oil anyway, so a little more oil won't hurt. So that was half a liter. About. Now if you are running just slightly low, the trick I like to do is, now since the oil is so cohesive, it adheres to itself, I like to put them upside down to let the oil continue dripping through to the bottom. Alright, so we're putting in the last bottle here. And I'm only going to do half of it. I mean, I know that I had probably the exact amount, but regardless, if you over oil, which is better than under oiling, it's still a pain. So I put about half. I'm going to check it. Now this won't be an accurate reading because the oil is all sitting in here right now. It needs to run through the engine first. So what I will do is I'm going to just close it lightly, run the engine for a second, and then put some more oil. See, right now it shows that the oil is at the full line, but once I run the engine, that'll all change. So just tap it real quick. Oop. Nice and happy now. Alright, now I'm just going to check it again. Let the oil rest a little bit, and we'll see where it's at. For those that like to do wheelies, they usually do over oil the bike, because when you're in a wheelie position, all the oil flows to the back of the chamber. Not a huge fan of that. I like to just ride hard and ride twisties. So I like to have just the right amount of oil, not too little, not too much. So let's see if it settled back down a little bit. I don't know if you guys can see that at all, but alright, see, now it looks like there's no oil in there because the engine absorbed it all, which it should have done. So now put in the rest of this. and we should be golden. See that? I'm right about at the full line. Once I run the engine a little bit more, that'll all get sucked back in. And now the best part of all, well, besides cleanup, is to go take your bike for a spin. Fresh new oil. That's always a nice thing to have. Thanks for watching.